Hi guys, my name is Jo Rogers and I'm the CEO and founder of Navistar Legal, and today we are here with Nadene Stevenson. Hello Nadine, how are you?
Hi Jo, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about the transition between corporate and going into your own business, why set up, and we're going to talk a little bit about networking and probably anything else that floats a boat, really. Holistically, we're going to look at the whole of a business and your experience within it. So tell me a little bit about your background and tell me about Life and Soul. What brought it to fruition?
Okay, so my life started many years ago. I was in the retail industry and I went from the shop floor to buying. Then I transitioned into wholesale and selling into the type of retailers that I'd worked in as a buyer, and then spent almost 30 years in the footwear industry, working between the factory and the retailer and being kind of that middle person in the private label sector of the footwear industry. So you have brands and you have private label. So private label was kind of my expertise, and that's why Soul is spelled S-O-L-E in my company name, because I have business within sort of holistic well-being and footwear, so it kind of works for both. So 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, the company that I was working for, so I was self-employed. I've had my own business in footwear and I've worked for other people and built their businesses up too. And oh gosh, if we go back probably about 2011, when I first set up my own footwear company, and I was sourcing, importing footwear myself, bringing container loads of shoes and selling them into retailers such as Dorothy Perkins, Very.uk.co.uk, TK Maxx, people like that. And I got into the branded side because a boss once told me that you'll never transition from private label to branded. And I'm never one to take no for an answer. So I went out specifically to prove him wrong.
That's what got you starting your first business, was screw you, I'm going to do it regardless.
Absolutely. There's nobody out there that can tell me I can't do anything, because I can do whatever I want to do. Whatever I put my mind to do, I'll do it and make it work. Yeah. So nowadays I've proved that I can transition from the corporate business world to a holistic health and well-being business. Who knew that somebody that spent 30 years, selling shoes could actually go and be an expert in magnetics wellness, for instance.
So what was it? What's been your transition? At what point do you say, okay, yeah, enough of selling shoes, now I'm moving on to holistic well-being? Like, what was the shift? Is it a life change, or?
It was. It literally, it was a product that changed my life. So if you go back sort of 4 years now, I suffered with chronic back pain, and somebody lent me a magnet and said, try this and see if it works. And at that time, I used to have to go and have operations, injections under anaesthetic into my lower back for the pain that I was in. And I used to walk around wearing a TENS machine because I didn't want to be taking pills. So somebody lent me this little magnet, and I've got one, I wear one here. So it's literally, you put it on your clothing, and literally within 3 days of me wearing that, it took all my pain away. So I'm like, this is crazy.
Were you open to that before? Like, did you?
I've always been open to trying anything.
Right.
Lots of people do Reiki now. Well, I did my Reiki 1 and 2 25 years ago, before anyone knew what Reiki was. I was having kinesiology done 25 years ago. All these things that are quite normal for people now. Back then, people had never heard of it. So I've always sort of tried different things. So when I tried everything else and nothing worked for me, I used to see a chiropractor, I was seeing a physio, and this little magnet, 3 days of wearing it and my pain went. I'm like, this is amazing. I want to tell lots of people about it.
You had a
So
problem that was solved by somebody, and then you were like, I want to solve that problem again for other people. I want to be the person
yeah,
that's solving that, right?
yeah, and and I've always been one. I love helping people. Whether it be doing charity stuff. So I'm president of my Rotary Club now. I joined
Right.
Rotary sort of 4 or 5 years ago, and I love that giving back and helping others. And so when these magnets worked, I'm like, why has it taken so, I won't say how old I am, I'm quite old, all these years, because I've had back problems all my life. I've suffered with migraines all my adult life, and I've not had a migraine for nearly 4 years. And it's mental.
Incredible. Incredible.
I've not been sick for 4 years just from wearing magnets. It's amazing. So so it became my side hustle, just because I just wanted to help people. And then kind of that moved into
Well, why don't you explain, because there'll be plenty of people on here that don't really understand what a side hustle is, or don't have a side hustle.
yeah.
What is a side hustle, and why did you want one?
So for me, I needed some extra income. So I was working for a company and they were struggling. So after Brexit, retail was tough. It was tough, and it's getting worse. And I'm blessed that I got out when I got out, and I'm doing what I'm doing now. And I've had all these years of experience so far. But for me, it was a side hustle. So I didn't know about network marketing. I didn't know what that was until I started networking. And I was networking for events that I was helping to organize, charity events. So that's what got me into networking. And I was meeting all these people that had all these side hustles that were network marketing type business, multi-level marketing, social selling. So there's lots of different ways that it's spun, but it's basically where you sell to somebody and you've got a company behind you, you kind of buy into it or sign up to it, and then you promote their products and you make a little bit of money on the side.
It's always something that you hit. Well, certainly, but I remember, what was the company? I remember my
There's like
family
things
members.
like Avon. There's
It was the big one that's down in Holborn. I can't think what it is, but it's
Neil's
American.
Yard. Oh, not Neil's Yard. Forever Living.
No, I didn't know Neil's
There's
Yard was multi-level marketing.
yeah.
There you go. Well, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, no, there's many of them. Even the
Really?
body shop is now as well.
Really? Well, that makes sense. I mean, it used to have such a bad name, particularly about 10 years ago, I think, I'm sure 20, 30 years ago when it was relatively new. I remember hearing about it, but there was I think about 10 years ago, there was a lot of, utility warehouse, and everything was done multi-level marketing, and you'd speak to somebody and they'd have like this card, or this card, or this card, and like, who do you want me to be today? What are you looking for? Da, da, da. How has that changed over, I don't know, the time you've been doing that? Has it changed?
Well, for me, I'd met people that do, a lot of these American companies are, in my head, a lot of them are brainwashed. Kind of, they all say the same story.
Come on, guys. Let's go.
Join my team. It's all going to be fantastic. Look at this car that I've earned. Look at these big checks. They show photographs themselves.
Only in 2 days.
Exactly. But for me, it's about the product.
Yeah.
It's not about earning the extra money, which is great, and it has earned me a bit of extra money. But for me, it's about, I can help people, and that's why I'm selling the products that I sell.
Yeah.
And it gives me a way of doing it without me having to go and source it myself, which I could do, quite easily. I know where to go in China, how to buy things. I happened to meet on one of my trips to China, where I was there for shoes. I met the owner of the magnetic company that I'm with, and
Bizarre.
And I was going to sort of go into business with her out in China and do something out there, but I didn't end up doing that, and I'm glad that I didn't end up doing that when I did. But I could effectively. I know people in China, I know people all around the world, and I know how to source products. So I could have done it myself, but actually having them there, storing it, and doing all the stuff, and all I've got to do is sell, and I get a percentage for doing it. suits me.
You're like the marketing. I mean, literally, you are the marketing team, aren't you? You're out there, and you
Yeah.
as an individual are promoting the product that you believe in. I'm really interested about, on a slightly different subject, I'm quite interested about the sourcing of products in China and how you learned how to do that. I'm interested in, did you just rock up in China and be like, I'm gonna, yeah, I always wonder, because I
Yeah.
dated a guy a long time ago who did exactly that. He was like, oh, I'm just going to pop to China and purchase this thing. I'm like, what does that even mean? Do you have contacts out there? Is this through your networking? How did you get good at that?
Just by going out there and doing the job, really. You know, I actually was 6 months pregnant the first time I went to China, carrying around, and you just, by going out there and meeting people, you know, and I'm quite, I don't know, I get a feeling about people very, very easily. I think that's the kind of spiritual side of me. You know, when I meet, I know who to trust and who not to trust. I get a feeling if somebody is not right. So I've always found the right people in the right places that have helped me along my journey, and spending the time out there and going to the fairs. And, you know, I'm quite, if I go to an exhibition somewhere, whether it be in Europe or in China, you know, I walk around the whole thing. I have to do it all, and I have my way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I talk to people, and I talk a lot, and, you know, it's all about building. It's the same with anything. It's building the relationships with people, because people buy from people, and people work with people they know and like and respect.
Networking is a big thing of yours. Like, and that's basically what you're saying now is, yeah, I network, I talk to people.
Exactly, and it's what I've always done. And I guess because I'm a natural born salesperson, you know, I've been in sales all my life from a child. You know, my dad had a retail shop, so
Right.
I've always been around that and talking to people. So I was networking. God, back in the day, I was working for a company called Pentland, and I used to network, and it wasn't called networking then. It was a quarterly meeting. It was called the Financial Male Women's Forum. And it was a group of business people, business women that would meet together, drink lots of champagne, an amazing bar in Islington.
Ladies, what lunch?
Yeah, and we just connect with each other and make friendships. And then, you know, we'd all go out together, we'd have holidays together even, and it was just a great way. And years later, when networking became a thing, I'm like, I was doing that all those years ago.
You're ahead of the curve. It sounds like you're kind of at the leading edge of these things where you're like, kinesiology, I've been there, done that. Yeah. I'm there already. Yeah, it sounds like you're very open to a lot of things that many people might kind of.
Yeah, I jump in head first to things.
Yeah,
I don't think things through very much, because if you talk things through in your head for too long, you talk yourself out of things. So
tell me how that's helped you and how it's hindered you in business. Like, I can imagine how it's helped you.
I don't know so much how it's hindered me, because, you know, everything I do, I love learning. I love learning new things all the time. So like every day I'm learning new things. Even last week I learned, did you know this? Any condition that ends in itis is inflammation. I never knew that.
Didn't know that, no. Arthritis, though, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I can't think of anything else.
No, I can't. There are lots of things apparently. That colitis is inflammation inside. Okay. Yeah.
I feel like I might have to look this one up afterwards. I'm going to Google it. Fact check on Google. No, I didn't know that. Well, you like to learn, and do you? If
things go wrong, then it's, you know, not everything works, but that's a learning curve. You know.
Of course.
Always take it, and I never look back and go, oh my God, I wish I hadn't done that. Well, I did that because that taught me that. Yeah. And that's now, you know, it's like I've been made redundant a couple of times in my lifetime. Well, I've moved on to bigger and better things. It's always, everything happens for a reason, and You know, there's always something better around the corner, and it's all a learning curve.
Yeah, I love that attitude. I was going to ask you personally, like what values and beliefs do you hold to be true, particularly in the time that we're in right now? But like, what sort of values and beliefs are really important to you right here, right now?
I'm myself. I'm not somebody else. And be yourself, you know, because you can't be somebody else. You can only be you, and be true to yourself too. I literally, when lockdown happened, I started an events business not so long ago.
I was going to ask you how it affected you. So yeah, share.
So I had all these venues booked up for my events, and people booked in to do them. And then lockdown happened and the venues all closed. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Because I do these events so that I can raise money for charity too. And, you know, and my main concern were, when all this happened, and they're talking about, you know, how people are going to survive, but actually how are the charities going to survive? Because at the beginning, it took a long time before they started to talk about how they're going to help the charities. So I wanted to do something to help the charities. So I took my events online. So I now run them on Facebook at the moment. And I have a mailing list. And my mailing list has almost doubled in the 6 weeks of people coming onto my events. And this Friday we're actually doing one. I'm trialing one because I found that I'm getting a lot of people. So they're sort of well-being events. We call them mind, body, spirit fairs, but it's a holistic well-being. So all sorts of different people come on and do workshops and talk about their products that they do. So Friday, I'm doing it Friday evening because I found I'm getting a lot of people coming on from America, Canada, Australia, but they were only either catching the beginning of the events when I do them at weekends or the end. So I thought, if I do 1 hour time in the evening, then I can capture a lot more people overseas, because that's another thing that I'm planning to move into after all this is over. I want to do more retreat type mind, body, spirit events where I go to different countries and offer them and take my people and meet more people in other countries, because people just love coming to my events because they just get a really good energy. And this is what a lot of people are finding now. You can feel people are feeling the energy and feeling that things are different. You know, less planes and less pollution, our air is clearer. And people are understanding a little bit more about the moon and the energies of the earth, and learning about new ideas. So it is, and it's happening all over the world.
So this sounds like you are seeing opportunity, and almost people, you were saying earlier, you're kind of at the forefront of that wave. It's like the mass of the wave is starting to come into not necessarily your way of thinking, but that a different way of thinking, a new, yeah.
And when I've spoken to people, I do a lot of networking, business networking, and I talk to a lot of people, and there's those people that have embraced it and moving with the times and have continued to work, and you can see the difference. And then there's those that are not doing Zoom, they're not doing anything, they're sitting at home waiting for it all to end. And when I talk to them, because I phone people up, because I get concerned about people, so I speak to them and give them other ideas. Okay, so maybe you can't. So, for instance, I was talking to somebody who has he supplies windows and doors. I said, okay, so who is it who you want to target? Who are your target customers? So he said, I want to be talking to builders. I said, okay, so at this moment in time, builders aren't going out to work. So now, where you can't be putting windows and doors in, you should be concentrating on getting in touch with those people.
Yeah.
To spend your time doing that. Don't just sit at home and think, I'm giving up and I'm just going to wait for it to all be over. But there's things that you can be doing to make sure that when we are back, there are other things. So
you were saying to me earlier that you're actually busier than ever at the moment. I can imagine that. You're just like going from one thing to another. What's the balance though in overdoing during times like this? And I guess from an energetic perspective, like what's the benefit in just keep going versus actually time to stop?
Yeah, I could have just stopped, but I get a buzz from it. I wasn't very well over Christmas, and I think I had a form of COVID-19 because it really wiped me out for a long while, and I slept a lot, and I think that recharged my batteries for when this started. As soon as this started, I seemed to come alive and like had more get up and go than I've ever had in my life. It was like something was telling me there's something coming and we've got to prepare you for it. And I believe that I've been put on this earth for a reason.
Awesome. And are you finding this time, like, do you still feel energized off the back of this?
Oh yeah, I just love, I spend all my days, if I'm not at a Zoom networking meeting, I'm having a one-to-one with somebody and finding out about them, because a lot of it, I don't sell to people. That's not my way. My way is to find out about it, because I know that at some point in the future, it'll come back to me. And there's no point, I don't want to be selling, as long as you know what I do, then, and if you know, like, and respect me, you will come back to me because you want to help me.
Yeah, it'll be that thought process like, my back's been hurting for a couple of months.
Yeah.
I think I know somebody. Yeah.
Exactly. So another side hustle that I have that I started a couple of years ago, I joined a company called Tropic. It's a natural skincare brand. So
it's kind of like an Avon, but a different
kind of, but all completely natural. And like no other company out there. They have the highest ethics of any company, and it's actually part owned by Alan Sugar.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
this isn't one of his apprentices.
Yeah, she was on The Apprentice, but she didn't win. But he still invested in.
How interesting! Yeah.
And it's done as a social selling business because it's all freshly made product, so it can't be sold in a shop. You have to buy it through an ambassador. So, like, I'm a Tropic ambassador, and I think there's 17,000 Tropic ambassadors in the UK now.
How do you when you got all those side hustles? I mean, it's cheap, but when you've got side hustles and you're doing your events and you're doing your Rotary and how do you find balance and time for you?
It is, I find that my events, it's what I love. I love going to an event. So being part of it, that is my time out. I'm sitting there watching somebody doing a meditation, or I'm joining into somebody doing Tai Chi. It's what I would spend my time doing if I had time off. So, it's not, and chatting to people, like when I'm chatting to you, it's not like work. That's
it's true.
It's like chatting to a friend, if you like.
Just happen to be press record, and that's it.
Yeah. So it's just me, and then my other thing that I'm doing is mentoring other businesses.
Lovely.
And that's what I love to do, because that's all about helping others as well. I've got so much experience in the sourcing, product development, how to go out to China and knowing where to go to source things. I know that. I've literally sat on trains, planes and automobiles all around China for many years.
You've kind of got, what I'm thinking now is, for those people who, and there will be many, who will not be able to make that trip for a while, you kind of have that Rolodex at the moment, don't you? That valuable Rolodex of all the people that if you were jumping on a plane and heading over there, that will be, that you'll be able to source from. So, I think that sounds amazing. I imagine there's going to be quite a few people stepping out and stepping into product selling and doing something new. Hopefully this is a change for a lot of us, isn't it?
I mean, for instance, on my magnetics business, I've had, in the last week, I've had 4 people join my team, because I've got a huge team, but I also have to manage and train.
Right.
And people are coming on board because people need to have a side hustle. People are being furloughed. They can't do their own job. They're sitting at home. They're paid sitting at home. So, you know, they can start another job. I've got a lady who works, she's joining hopefully in the next week, that works in the Met Police.
Amazing.
You know, because you can be in any job and you can have a side hustle.
Yeah. Awesome.
You know, and it could, like me, you know, my side hustle has turned into my main business.
Yeah. Well, look, I could talk to you all day, because I think networking wise, you know, there's a lot of wisdom that you have, but I think that I want to know, how do people get in contact with you, if not through the Life and Soul? I mean, because your telephone number, you got your email there,
yeah,
your Facebook and Twitter. Is that everything, or can people get to you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. So my name is written there. That's how you spell my name, Nadene with an E, Stevenson with a V. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, although I don't use Twitter so much. Yeah, phone me, WhatsApp me, Messenger, whatever.
Awesome.
I'm available.
For those people that are looking to do some form of sourcing, you've got a business idea, or you're thinking, actually, what I just want to do is explore my options for a bit of a side hustle, either during furlough, or frankly, this might be a more permanent solution. I think it's a great opportunity, especially if you're not thinking of yourself setting up in a business, like having an opportunity to work on, it's basically selling someone else's product, which is often ideal, particularly if you've got other responsibilities. Anyway, wonderful. Thank you, Nadene. It is great. Thank you for coming along. For those of you watching, you can subscribe, I think probably down here, not sure which one, but very close by. And we would love to hear from you or Nadene would love to hear from you if you are interested, particularly if you're doing sourcing or the mentoring. Give her a shout. Her details are Life and Soul, and you can see, top. That's right. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Nadene, for being a part of this. Thank you, wishing you a great rest of the week. See you again.
Bye.
Bye.